welcome to Encounter, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines District. And once again, we give God thanks for His goodness and His mercies, and we are thankful that we can see another day, although it has almost ended. And so I want to say hello to those of you throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and by extension, those in Grenada and certain parts of St. Lucia. We don't know now with the web, it's like one village. Gentlemen, you in France, wherever, and as long as you can log in, you're picking up the feed. But we give God thanks for all this. Now, you observe, gentlemen, on Thursday, we had our elections. I have my little views in the sense that I believe we need some more booths to vote in. I got there early, and when I say early, about some minutes to 7, and I left there after 9. And I have no problems really lining up or waiting, but when the sun is out, it's really hot. And I'm thinking maybe we need to have some more booths that more people can vote, especially in places where you have a lot more voters. But let's put that aside, and we want to congratulate Mr. Ralph Gonzalez and those who were re-elected. I think we had some new persons who won their seats. We had Mr. Brewster from Layu, and we also had Curtis King from the Bel Air area. Gentlemen, if I'm missing anyone, please help me.
East Kingstown.
Right, East Kingstown, East Kingstown. All right, so they would help me when they get there, right? But we want to congratulate you. This is the 5th term, and also those from the NDP side, those who have got, those who were re-elected, and we must point out Mr. Bramble. He was, as a newcomer, was elected, and so we congratulate all of you. And one of the things we are doing, because our churches were praying, we prayed a lot for this election, and most of all, we are hoping, and again, we are praying that we would certainly move on as a nation. We cannot be divided going forward. We have too many challenges. You know, I think of what the World Bank, what they said, that this year, if we continue shutting down nations, if we continue closing down because of COVID-19, the poor will get poorer. And that is a challenge in itself, because if on the global market things are not looking well, it affects us. You know, it affects tourism, it affects a number of things. So we have a number of challenges going forward. And so we can't afford to be divided and just working against each other. We have to work with each other to move forward as a nation. So on behalf of the St. Vincent and Grenadines District, I want to congratulate all those who would have gotten in, the new ones, and I just trust that you are prepared to work, because it is a time to work. And let me just put this in, gentlemen, here. It's the first time, maybe you may know about it, General Bishop, but I am pleased that we had senior people speaking out at this time and asking for calm and let's move on as a nation. I was really impressed with that. You had, I know of some NDP persons came out and say, let it be and let's move on. And also you had some ULP supporters. And we need that. We need to speak. Let us move on as a nation. All right? Yes.
All right. So good evening. And my weekend and election day was sort of mixed, and I'll tell you why. I'm in the line at the polling station at the Fair Hall Government School. Some long line. And I saw a voicemail from the General Administrator of PAWI.
Yeah.
And so I listened to the voicemail that said Cynthia Jack died. And my mind refused to believe. And I'm there asking my wife, is there another Cynthia Jack in Paui? And then I got another call that our ministries, the ministries director of Paui, this has been like an engine. This woman of God is like an engine in the fellowship of Paui, who died suddenly on Thursday the 5th. And it left maybe the entire fellowship shocked and in a state of deep sadness. And then we rejoice. You see, our faith tells us that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And Paul also recognized our humanity when he told the Thessalonians that we must not mourn like those without faith and hope. So he acknowledges the issue of bereavement, that when our loved ones passed, and you know, there are different factors that will determine, you know, the level of our grief. The person was not sick, they were not in a bed, they died suddenly. These are all factors that would intensify a person's grief. You might be asking, what is that all about? But Reverend Cynthia Jack, the entire fellowship of Paui, she was the director of church ministries. So her ministries covered the children, the young people, the men, the women, all the ministries, our crusaders, which is our uniform group. And she did such a fantastic job of it. In fact, I would describe her as the quintessence of ministries. It's like her whole life demonstrated the office that she led. We know that she's gone to glory, but the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies is you know, there's a big hole. I say a gaping hole that her death has created in the fellowship. And so, you know, I am extending to the whole of Paui, all credential workers, all the constituents of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies, her siblings, all her relatives, our deepest condolences on that. So you could understand on election day how I am in the mix. Well, I am not no party person, so I will just follow what is going on there. As a Vincentian, and I have a deep interest of the development and the progress of my country. So let me say congratulations to the Honorable Dr. Gonsalves on his historic, because it's historic win that it's the 5th term, consecutive term of a political party in the Caribbean. That's very, very historic. And so we offer congratulations to you and the rest of the candidates who will form the next government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I must also say a word to the New Democratic Party also, in that the encounter is not pro nobody. Exactly. We stand as nation builders and try to help our nation go in this way. But you have to congratulate the performance of the new Democratic Party, because they are coming out of the general elections with the popular vote. And that must be noted. And hence, the ULP government would need to take that into consideration, and they would have to work for you are the man in, you are the person in reconciliation, and much work of reconciliation needs to be done after such competitive campaign. No doubt a number of persons are left bruised and offended, and now you have this narrowing, one seat, a difference of one vote, and then up north we are told that some 50-something or so, and the party who didn't get the sufficient mandate has the popular vote. So we will really need to work towards helping to calm the political nerve of our nation, and to say to us, but after all, and we all about building St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and so we need at this time to work together as a people. Whatever is done must be done according to law in a peaceful way, because we are a democratic country, and you can't prevent anybody who has a legitimate or a perceived grounds that they want to have it looked at. But we are saying that we need persons to be operating according to the law. We don't want no lawlessness. We don't want no violence. We really want to have peace in our land. All right, Reverend Komabash.
All right, so good evening to everybody, and I greet you very warmly on this Monday evening. A whole lot has been said already by the bishops, so I'm not going to take up too much of the time, but it's really good joining you again this evening. I would also lend my 2 cents to what has been said, both in terms of the elections. I want to personally congratulate, I suppose you can call him Honorable now, Honorable Curtis King, my neighbor and family member, on his victory in the recent elections. And I want to shout out all my neighbors, the Rosses, the Common-Batches, the Edwards, the Williams, all the people who surround me in Bel Air.
That's almost St.
I'm talking about Bel Air. All my neighbors, good evening to you. I hope you're doing well. And I also want to congratulate Honorable Sinclair Gibby Prince, the representative for the Maracay zone, Maracay constituency, the constituency in which I am a minister. And it is what should I say? He's my partner in this whole issue of nation building and building our country. He's our partner over there in Maracay. And it's not necessarily because of him, but whoever was elected would have been our partner in working for the betterment of Maracay and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so we congratulate both of these gentlemen, and by extension the Unity Labour Party. And I particularly want to congratulate the 2 women on the New Democratic Party side who did, in my view, exceptionally well. If I got my information correctly, they came in late into the race, and they gave the candidates for the Unity Labour Party a run for their money. And I suppose we have to really give kudos to them because they have done well. And so congratulations to the both of them. And just in case there are persons who are looking, I remember also on Saturday, Bishops, the funeral service for Prophet Joel Daniel, son of Griffin Daniel, who is probably known throughout the entire Pawi. He was laid to rest on Saturday, and that also added to the somber moment in connection with Reverend Jack I think a young man, I had the privilege of interacting with him on a brief level while I was in Dominica. Young man, very gifted, very promising. Also passed very suddenly, and these things are always a challenge to deal with. And I think now is a time when a whole lot of Pawi is in a state of mourning for the loss of these two very significant persons. And so we on Encounter gave our prayers are with the families and with the two districts, and all the persons in Pawi who might be grieving at this time over these two very significant losses. And as our bishops have said, really now is the time for us to work together from a national level. Going back to the elections, now is really the time for us to work together going forward. So,
yeah. I must add, you think of Cynthia Jack. I don't know. Many times I ask her, what vitamin tablets do you take? She just had this spunk, and sometimes she would tell you the meats I ate, alligator. I said, Sister Jack, what are you talking about? This is what I eat. Fun, a great person to be around, always encouraging and ready to go, as long as she's convinced of something. And I myself, I was really shocked when I got a call, and the person was calling me to verify. So I asked them, what are you talking about? And then when I checked in, I realized what happened. But to God be the glory. Sometimes we question a lot of things. God knows best. And, we don't want to take it lightly, but God always have a man, God always have a woman, but we celebrate this life. She has, we has to be thankful for the input, what she has done for this organization. And I believe she has touched every district. Every district she has really reached out to. So, on behalf of St. Vincent Grenadines, I don't think any of her family members may see this, but we are truly thankful. She was on Zoom with the WM, and you hear her input, and it's just amazing. Yes.
Gentlemen, an issue that I think we may need to look at from the standpoint of the church is the role of prophecy during national elections. Because, the United States of America, they're just coming out of their whole election process like us. And President Trump had read some prophets who had prophesied that he was going to be the winner, but he didn't. Locally also, I've heard some voices saying how much one party will get and the other will get. And when these things don't happen, they leave people pretty bewildered, disappointed, and also some of these things could add to the overall tension in this post-election climate. But I was thinking, and then I found a verse in the book of Ecclesiastes, in Ezekiel, chapter 13, and verse 2. It says, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy. They say, Thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts. Pay attention to that phrase. Out of their own hearts. And we really need to admonish the prophets among us. So we are not, the Bible says we must not despise prophesying. So this is not. But the Bible also says that we must prove all things. It is right there that we must be the one to assess. And when we do that, we could add credibility to the whole ministry of the prophet, because we could help people from getting into error. And we must recognize that you always have to be careful not to speak from your heart. And you see, if you, and we hear it a lot sometimes in church, you know, it's if you really believe a thing, you're a worshiper, and you really, you feel that the people are not worshiping this morning, then you could always come up with God saying, we're not worshiping. God wants worship. I'm not making light of things, but we've got to put these things in place. That's what the Ezekiel, God said to him that the prophets, they are speaking out of their own hearts, their desire, what they would like to see. And that is something that prophets would have to be very, very careful of, especially when you hold a particular political line and you're a supporter of this candidate or this party, and this is your desire. This is what you've been praying for. Just a word of caution. Just be careful, because we are hearing it over and over and over at election times, and it doesn't lend credibility to the ministry and the gift of the prophet.
And it makes people question the whole area of prophecy. So sometimes you ask why people are not believing in prophecies, and it's as a result of that. Because think of the Old Testament. When you prophesy something and it did not come to pass, you were in jeopardy. At one point, a person lost their life because it wasn't God who spoke. And so sometimes what we do, he has spoken, some of what we do, we try to verify that, why this thing did not come to pass. So there is nothing wrong if I were to say, look, I believe this is what will happen. Nobody would say anything to that if I feel, well, so I just say that. And if it doesn't come to pass, well, that was my opinion. But when you're saying, thus saith the Lord, and this thing does not come to pass, it makes people now question. And the sad thing about it is, if they were just questioning you as to whether you are genuine or not, that to me was not the problem. But it's now passed on to almost all the ministers, because it's like they just lump all of us into one thing and say, all the elders just talk. And you can't do that, because at the end of the day, you need to be trusted. People need to respect you. In other words, to carry out or to do what it is you would have said through ministry. So it's extremely important, the whole area of prophecy. And then before I turn over to Reverend Ezra, I am saying it again publicly. Maybe I might get myself in a little thing with this. I find, sometimes I wonder if we don't understand we have ULP members, NDP members, Green Party members in our congregations. Because I find it hard at times. Why would I want to take a line? Why would I want as a minister to support a party when I have different people in my congregations? And maybe somebody might be able to explain that, why they do that, and it may make sense to me. But I just don't understand why we will go that way. Yes.
I suppose one of the questions that is in the mind of some persons might be, if they prophesy something and it doesn't come to pass, does that make them a false prophet? That's a question that I think some person might be asking. I don't know if that is the one you were referring to, but I remember the story of Jeremiah also. Speaking to the exiles, Jeremiah 29. And Jeremiah 28 and 29 kind of give the contrast, because here you had these two prophets. There's Jeremiah and there was Hananiah. and they were prophesying two different things.
Yeah.
Hananiah was at this time the Jews or the Jews were in exile in Babylon, and Hananiah is prophesying that they will be out of Babylon in 2 years. And Jeremiah is prophesying, no, not 2 years, 70 years.
Yeah.
And the latter part of Jeremiah 28 says Hananiah died because of his false prophecy. And it seems as if in crucial times and in critical times and in times when people are in desperate situations, that is when people look for a word, and somehow those situations bring out these prophets. And I would want to agree with both of you bishops in the sense that we have to be very careful from the standpoint of the prophet what you say, and we also have to be careful in terms of who we listen to and how we listen. I remember saying something similar to the church there in Mespo, and some person kind of beat me for it, but that's the reality. You have to be careful how you listen and who you listen to, because you can have different persons called prophets saying two different things. How then do you judge who you listen to or which one you listen to?
But you see, some prophets set up themselves to a position that they ought not to be challenged.
Yeah.
And you know, we use verses like, touch not the Lord's anointed, do his prophets no harm. And you ought not to do any anointed person or any person at all harm. But it doesn't say, it doesn't say that I cannot guide you.
Yeah.
Because the idea is guiding. Let the prophet speak and the rest of you judge. It's about accountability. Every one of us. The prophet is accountable to somebody.
Right.
The prophet is not all alone out there and to say, if you only guide them, that God will kill you. I mean, we don't have the time, and probably we don't even want to talk a controversial issue at the end of an election. Probably. But we are just saying that perhaps persons who might have been having all this expectation based on the prophetic word, and now, you know, you are left so bewildered, so disappointed. You understand? We are saying some care should be given to that. And we are saying to you, as we work out the post-election issues, we are asking for calm. Let's work together. We are calling on all to work together as we move on as a nation. I know we time God. I know we time God. But God bless you. Thank you for being with us this evening, and we wish St. Vincent and the Grenadines all the best. Congratulations again to the government elected, and we be praying for you. God bless you.
I'm trading my